Hello, Eloise. It's been a little while. I have been playing in my own time, so no big problem there. I won't be rusty outside of this being my first game of the day. So yeah, the whole renovation thing was finished for the most part. There's still a few things that they need to do. I imagine they will be done within a week, I guess, depending on how slow they are, which they tend to be quite a bit. But yeah, mostly it's done. So the only thing really stopping me from streaming at this point is just kind of motivation. I do enjoy Smite 2 quite a bit, but I also don't want to play it that much because of the low god pulls. I definitely do get slightly tired of playing the same gods. I have fatigued a bit during the time that I was not streaming, because there was a few days where I was, I had to practice a bit because I'm still, playing in the I guess the Switch stage, which now it's been changed, but I've been playing that still, so I've been scrimming and stuff like that. So it just didn't, even though definitely some days were able to stream, I decided not to, just because I didn't want to overdo it. I want to make sure I don't get tired of Smite 2, especially when I'm feeling fatigued. But I'm very glad that there is another solo in the game that I actually enjoy playing in Hercules now. Still need a few more, obviously, but yeah, it's a good step. I essentially only have two solos that I feel like I could play more than one game at a time. Like Odin's kind of boring. Never really been a big Odin player. Kind of same thing with Bacchus. Bacchus is fun enough. It's more fun than Odin at least, but um, a lot of the time as a solo right now, playing in like scrims and such, you tend to get Odin and Bacchus a lot. So it gets stale pretty quickly. I mean, one of the reasons obviously has been that Arma has been banned in competitive for a little while, about like 2 or 3 weeks now. So there hasn't been a whole lot of Arma, even though I'm not really the biggest Arma player either way. But still, her being banned means there's another solo that is just kind of taken out. I mean, I love playing Mordred, so when I get Mordred, I'm glad. Alright. I've been playing a little bit of Hercules. This patch came out last night, so this is not something completely new to me. He feels pretty good. But I have yet to play him into, shall we say, a player around my own skill level. So we'll see how it goes. Actually, I just looked at their comp. What am I against? On her? On her or Jingwei, I guess. Also, why are some names green? It can't be party, right? Because that would, yeah, there would be 4 people in the party then. Well, actually, no, it could be, I guess. It could be like a 2 duo queues, maybe. But that gets a bit confusing. Because those guys are green, and 4 of the enemy teams are green. I don't know what that means.
Minions have spawned.
I just need to figure out if I want warriors or bluestone on Herc. Because I'm not too sure. Loki. Okay. Should be a pretty easy matchup for me here. Unfortunate. I gotta use the one, because the one definitely feels different. In a hitbox sense. I don't need to do the gold camp, so I should probably just clear this stuff fast. He does walk up very aggressively though. I kinda wanna kill him when he does that. Or at least hit him a little bit.
Another day will rise.
No problem. Bye.
My long ass cooldowns right now. Not making it easy. My combo can't kill him right now.
Your left tower is under attack.
But I do want to make sure he doesn't get anything here. Couldn't see his health. I wasn't sure if that was really necessary, but that's fine. I'll take it. So, Herc's new passive. It's pretty fun. It's different. And kind of situational at times. It's definitely strange. I do think it's weird though. I really do. Mainly just because it is so situational. Late game I actually think it's quite good, because you have low cooldowns, you can easily pop it, but essentially his new what the fuck? Essentially his new passive is you can, like when you use the 4 abilities like after each other, you get power, like empowered. Damn it. Yeah, the one doesn't reach as far as I think it does. I'm chasing the Loki a bit too hard here. I gotta just kill stuff.
Enemy missing middle.
I'll take it. Oh. On her jungle, okay. I want to fight, but I really need to back. Oh. Hey, the new wall came in clutch. It rarely happens in Smite 2, because it does fucking 0 damage.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing middle. Enemies in the right jungle.
Time to back. It's been long enough.
A fine weapon.
It's a pretty big buy for me. 2.5 item basically. It's very nice. Damn it. Should probably wait until he ult before I ever use mine. Unless I have him in some kind of... Oh. Let's go Mystical Mail. Guide me. Show me the way. Oh. Oh, with Mystical Mail it's gonna be a bit easier just to run him down. Getting used to his 1 is going to be the trickiest part, I think. The 2 feels really good, and actually not that hard to hit. And it's not going to glitch out, or at least I haven't tried it glitching out like it used to in Smite 1. Where even though sometimes you still hit it in the right area, it still doesn't pull them. That hasn't happened in Smite 2 at all. And I believe they did mention they changed how the mechanic works, so it shouldn't happen anymore, so... That's very nice. I think the 2 feels great. Otherwise, he honestly just feels like Hercules. I think that's great. Feels the same, even though he has a very funny run animation, I think. Not that his old one was any better, to be honest. It just looked weird, the old one. Or a bit clunky. This one just looks funny. Very casual. Like he's jogging. I will fight them if they come, Fenrir. Don't you worry, buddy. It's gonna be hard to ever really land my ult with him here. Surprised he didn't just brutalize. Brutalize should have been enough just to kill him instead of ulting. Hey, Muris Bushy. Good to see you. A very, very big balls on her for wanting to fight me when you're 3 levels down. I'll give it to you. What's this build? This build is pretty standard. Just Mystical Mail into a breastplate. It's just Smite 2's building system is a bit different, so it's just the breastplate tree. It's not an actual ring, as some people might get a little confused by. Yeah, they're just reusing icons. It's just they build into different stuff. Oh well, same stuff, but just looks different. So you got a proxy, yeah, kind of. It's a smart thing to do here.
Bring the pain. Shut down.
I mean, if he's gonna... I might get tower just with this guy, so... I'm not. He's a bit too big.
Your left tower is under attack.
You are
Out of my way. Enemy missing right.
He might TP though, which would not be good.
Bring the pain.
Yeah, he is. That's tragic.
An ally has been slain.
Let's see if I can even do anything about it. I'm doing it super late. Like, realistically, I probably should have just stayed. Just got in the tower.
An ally has been slain. Bring the pain.
No!
another day will rise.
I can't even TP back to my lane here. You're gonna let me back or not? Do you actually want to fight me? Yeah. Suppose I'll just grab this rip buff while I'm here. Or not. Yeah, fuck it. I need to go back to my lane. What's the problem actually on their team? They have some CCs that might be a problem. I'll probably get a spirit rope. Actually, I'll get Stone of Binding first. I'll probably be CCing them before they CC me, realistically.
Your middle tower is under attack. Shifting sand. Slain. Rampage. Bring it on. An ally has been slain. Your team has destroyed the pyromancer. Your left
Okay,
tower
it's glitched as usual.
Enter their curses.
Speeds.
To me.
Loki, dude. What's happening here, buddy?
Dispel their attacks.
Gamehunter does hurt quite a bit. I'll just go back to my lane and farm.
Enemies in the left jungle.
Be careful. I'll attack right lane.
I just hope they don't force gold here. Like, we're doing some weird fighting. We really shouldn't be fighting at all right now.
I'll attack the gold jewelry.
Enemy ultimate down.
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower,
Fucking Loki!
your left tower is under attack.
Damn it, man! Stop running away! Honestly, at this point, I should just stay in my lane, just push. Never do anything else. The problem is, every time I do that, my team's probably gonna lose the fight, because the Loki's gonna be there. I hate this. Thanks, Lacane. Thank you, man. Well, I doubt it will. The Twitch rules are a bit weird. I haven't read on them in a while, but I'm pretty sure that it needs to be a specific amount before it goes to me. So maybe like, I don't know, 4 months when the amount has been reached. Maybe I'll get it. Eventually it will, though. Eventually it will. I got my first paycheck, actually, in these 3 weeks while I was gone from Twitch. First in a while.
Enemy missing right. Out of my way.
Dude, he keeps TPing, man. And they just lose the fight. They're way too up all the time and left. Yeah, and then they're just gonna spam shit. That's one thing I'm not doing, it's retreating. Kill this on her, man. Keeps impaling me.
Killing spree. You have slain an enemy. Bring it on. Attack the gold fury. Attack the gold fury.
It's a really risky call. With me having to tank this, yeah, exactly.
Killing spree. Unstoppable.
Still risky as fuck. I don't really like this call, but it's not worth it. They could just keep coming, we can't kill it fast enough. I can't get any words. Still this damn bomb. I gotta push right. Just throw the bomb at the tower. How does Herc feel? I think he feels great. I actually do. Is he broken? No, I don't even think he's broken either. I actually think he just feels good. I don't see him being a top solo, but that's also because like the top solos right now are like pretty good matchups into Hercules. Like Bacchus and Odin both do quite well against Hercules, with natural anti-healing in their kits as well. He kind of feels balanced in the same way as Odin, in that he's got a lot of base damage. So you can build him full tank and still do a pretty good amount of damage. I think that's something Chaac is missing. If you build full damage or full tank on Chaac, he just feels like he do no damage. It's kind of awkward. Hercules is more like an Odin. I think he just is another option, like Amma.
Enemy ultimate down. Enemy ultimate down.
That being said, Amma you can have a bit more fun with, in that you can build intelligence stuff on her and still, you know, play her completely differently. You're gonna TP or Dude, this match is so awkward because they have Loki. He just doesn't want to be in lane anymore and just constantly ganks. Okay. What? I think they got gold there. I missed Sunder by like 70 damage off. Is there an Ace of familiar nickname to you? No, it is not. I don't know that name. At least I don't think I do. But I'm also very bad at remembering names. Yeah, the Hercule might look... I do agree with you, Lakane. It might be. Damn it. Who did this? Honor did. And I'm pretty sure he just jumped too. My Danish friend of mine. That's fair. There's not that many... Well, I guess there's a decent amount actually, Danish players in Smite, but not a whole lot. There used to be. I don't think that's as many anymore. Dude, the constant TPing. Insane.
Been slain. Your left tower is under attack.
I'm worried. I feel like the win here is a bit too much on my shoulders, and I don't like it.
Killing spree.
See. You know what? Fine. I'll take you instead then. Actually, I'll prefer you. Like, the 2 is probably much easier to hit than it was in Smite 1. But it feels better. I think that takes priority. They can always balance it after if it just becomes too easy to hit. Maybe make it smaller or something like that. Yeah, you can clip it. Just study it a bit more. Like, we're literally not losing any of these fights if I'm actually there, but people keep pushing shit up. Nope. I suck. Didn't really hit anything there. That was not on me.
Your team has destroyed the pyromancer.
You know what? Fuck this. I'm selling this. I need awards.
A trifle.
Yeah, I'll probably go godlike this game, I would imagine. I don't see them killing me anytime soon. I have to be really out of position, or they have to somehow catch me in a bad way. Like, I feel like survival is on my own hands here. You can ult? No? Oh, that was kind of low. Go, Boulder! Damn, Bluestone betrayed me. It's so funny how big he gets in the empowered state, though. I'm curious, what do you guys think about his new passive?
Enemy missing middle. Be careful left.
Yeah, Sunder is an AoE. It's a cone. Frontal cone AoE. I only know that because of, I guess, using normal cast for a while. What the fuck? Oh, I see. I did not know what the fuck I was. Like, what the fuck am I? Yeah, Herc still does damage. Like, that's a level 20 Herc versus a level 20 mage. You can still fuck them up. I'm not really catching her. Let me see if I can still get lucky. I do think his passive is really good for one simple reason. When he does it, he gains, or he loses 2 seconds cooldown on each ability. I think that's insanely good. You can time that shit well. Like right there, I just basically refreshed my abilities with my low cooldown.
Destroyed a left enemy tower. Bring the pain.
Late game, the passive is very easy to obtain, yeah. But you need cooldown to make it work, because you're never getting it off early game. Your 3 abilities have way too long, just natural cooldowns early game, which is like 12 seconds or something like that. To actually pop it, you're never gonna have 4 abilities available to you until you hit level 5, and you can time it with the ult. But if you only time it with the ult ever, that's just never gonna be. It's never gonna be up.
That should do.
That being said, he's still Hercules. He's still good early. Like his abilities are just naturally really good early to fight.
An ally has been slain.
I feel like we should attack fire here, but ADC is dead, so
Is under attack.
they're just all in left. Still got this damn bomb on me though.
The pyromancer has arrived. The enemy team has destroyed
No, there's not an item yet that gives movement speed when you heal. There is none of that just yet, and I miss it. I feel slow.
Fire Tiger and Fire Dragon.
Yes.
Not a whole lot of damage from the ult, all things considered, full late game. So that has definitely been nerfed from Smite 1, because his ult will just chunk you no matter what. I thought we were doing big fire here. We should. With Loki down, we gotta do big fire, boys.
Your team has destroyed the pyromancer. I'm getting into some of this Smite diesel.
I don't know why our ADC is left though. This is looking good for us though. A lot of the secure is gonna rely on me.
Your left tower is under attack.
Just secure this shit. I feel like we do no damage to it. by the end there. I blew everything and I still didn't secure correctly. Let's just fucking tank this up. That was a terrible secure, yeah. That was absolutely horrible. How much damage does bomb do again? To a fire giant? I completely forgot. I felt like it did no damage. And my ult does no damage either in terms of actual, like, fire jet secure. That thing is too tanky for me to even do anything into. Speeds. Oh my god. Someone else can tank this now. No one's okay. Cancel that. We also don't have our ADC here, which is probably worth noting. At least we did get kills here without dying. Also, the lack of minions is also a thing.
Be right back.
Bro, what are we doing? Money. Well, that was the godlike. This is very sloppy for sure. We're kind of only getting this because we're able to pick people off a little bit, but we're not grouped. I don't know why Danza wasn't grouped with us in that whole scenario on the right side.
Grip up! Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Attack the gold fury.
Let's see if I can get red buff real fast.
Bring the pain.
I mean, this shit. I mean, with a 3k pot, it's like cheating now. How much? Dude, I hate that I can't see his health when you grab Loki and stealth.
Killing spree. Coming.
I think on her might have given up.
An enemy.
Another weird thing in the empowered state is that your auto attacks are AoE. Like, it's not gonna make any difference. If that was a thing on or not, wouldn't make any difference to him. I did hit him. Oh yeah, the bomb might have actually gotten destroyed. That's true. I didn't think about that. That is a good point. Rank 3? Wait, there's no way I just got 110. That's max worshippers, I think, right? Yeah, I played him a bit yesterday. This is like my 4th game or something like that as Hercules. Pretty sure that's overall. Yeah, that's overall. I was like, damn, that's a lot for a single game. But yeah, I would need to see how he truly is up against some of the top solos. I do think he is just another viable solo pick. I don't see anything on him that is specifically broken. I think if you went against an Odin, or if you went against an Amma, or against the Bacchus, I feel like you would just stalemate the matchups. I do think he has good matchups into someone like Amma, though. Just like you, like it's kind of the same type of matchup, right? Like if she ever ults, you're gonna ult. If she is like if you ever try to get your combo off, she might just ult as a response or just run away as Amma does. He's good into Bologna. He's always been good into Bologna for having two ways of really interrupting what she's doing, as well as someone like Fenrir. It's probably gonna be one of the better picks against Fenrir actually. If the Fenrir jungle or the Fenrir solo gets picked. But yeah, he's then another good solo. He's honestly like, hey, the thing is, I actually imagine he would be better in support. I actually feel that might be the case. It's gonna be another Baron situation where he's probably better in support overall than solo or somewhere else. Unless for some reason Hercules is super good. I haven't tried one thing. I have not tried going full damage on Hercules. He might be insanely good. He might be insanely good with full damage. I do not know. What are these new color names? I have no idea. I asked last game as well, if anyone knows. I have no idea why they're colored. It might be a party thing, but I don't think so, because now it's 3 people and you can't triple Q anymore, so. As far as I know. That was my only guess, but this game kind of confirms it. Also, I'm hearing the characters talk, so that's funny. I don't know if that's intended or not. Well, looks like I'm gonna have to deal with the Hercules this time. So I guess I want to try my usual comfort pick here to see if it works against him. We're gonna smack him with the Radiant Mordred. See how the matchup feels. I do think one thing that obviously made the last game easier for me was that I was against the Loki. He's never gonna win. I think Loki is a terrible solo for one reason, and you really have to make it super work by rotating, and that is simply just because Mystical Mail is generally the first item you go on anything in solo. Which makes it pretty rough for Loki to exist. Because it's way too easy just to run him down, and you're gonna be super tanky. Also, what's with the low resolution pictures? Why is the Loki picture, well, Dance as well? Why are they so low resolution?
Neat.
Want to introduce auto builds that we can choose?
Anubis.
I mean, there are already auto builds, but if you mean like they used to with the cost, I just need them to make the fucking God Builder, man. I need to let them like make the God Builder and then let me choose my build to just build itself. I already made it in the God Builder. Let me do that. I know what I'm building. This way I can just get my items instantly and then go back out, you know? I think that would be nice. That'd be a nice quality change. I understand why the God Builder isn't here yet. I mean, of course, it's something that can take time to make, I guess. It's not probably not a big priority for them to make it just yet, but I would like to see it. And they started making some UI changes, which is cool. Oh, well, this is definitely something that might be a little tough. Did not expect the Nika here. But I guess I'll see if Hercules is really good or not. I'm actually also tempted to try Warrior's Axe on Mordred. I have thought about that, but maybe now is not the time to test that. Because I actually tried Warrior's Axe on some other gods, and it felt kind of nice. Like 40 damage extra early game is super good on an ability for poking. Especially with only a 10-second cooldown on that passive. That being said, on Mordred I think Bluestone is just generally better. Oh yeah, they added multipots as well, but probably doesn't matter to me. I feel like mana is not a problem in general in Smite 2, so I don't see any reason to ever go for it over just a health pot. Some mastery emotes? No, there it is. What are the mastery emotes again? Oh. Not really sure what that does.
Minions have spawned.
Man, Baron is just never gonna be let through, is he? He's still gonna be disgusting. I don't believe they changed anything in the patch either on him.
Yes, no problem. Okay.
I don't know. Okay. Well. No problem, he says. Is it? Yep. That's what I was afraid of. This dude bro is starting on my blue buff. I need that XP, buddy. Also, what the hell was that gold sound that just happened? I might not be... okay, that's good. I need to give this up though. What's the gold sound? And I need it to stop. It's super distracting. Yeah, Herx 2 might be a bit overwhelming in lane, because I did not think that I was in range for that. That's kind of crazy. Dancer passive? Well, I needed to shut the fuck up.
I sense your fear. Enemies in right lane. You are
Yeah. Herc does have an advantage in this lane, because he can interrupt my 1, which is a bit unfortunate. For me.
enemies in right lane. First blood. You have slain an enemy.
Yeah, Hercules does have the usual like glaring problem. His 2-1 combo doesn't do as much damage as it did in Smite 1. So when he does that, he kind of becomes a target early game. So he might struggle against someone like Mordred a little bit in the beginning. Because Mordred will just kind of just turn on you and kill you if you let him.
Your fear. Bring the pain.
I don't really want to fight her, to be honest.
Your right tower is under attack.
I do want one more wave before I back, though. Oh. What? Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. I don't know why the jungler was even here. Never mind, I know why he was here. Oh, buffs just spawned, I'm stupid. And did Loki just actually just take my fucking blue buff, man?
Okay.
Man, my jungler is confused. He did start on blue, so that already kind of gives that sign. But this kind of sucks for me. He's so fucking big.
Fuels me.
Oh, what, dude? They fucking instant cancel? The fucking glitch still exists. Rip my healing, I guess. Susano, okay, dude. Dude, that actually sucks. I can't believe they haven't fixed the Mordred bug yet. The fact that your ult can still get cancelled is so bad.
Your middle tower is under attack.
It literally gives me my sustain that I need.
Your left tower is under attack.
I think this is cooked though. I think their Susano is going to destroy my team. Am I? I am. I thought I was lower to the ground. My feet are in the ground. I feel my camera is lower than it usually is. I'm so little. Yeah, it's been unfortunate, but I have to play this a bit more passive. Just because of Susano saying hi a little more often than I would like him to.
An ally has been slain.
Treachery is afoot.
Your right tower is under attack. Slain an enemy. Your left tower is under attack. An ally.
Oh, this is not good.
Coming your way.
Enemy ultimate down.
Okay, at least it didn't chase. That could have been really bad for me. I'll just secure my own shit this time. Before Loki steals it from me.
Your right tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
Let's back off.
Glorious power is mine.
Dude, fix my feet.
Your middle tower is under
It's so weird. Thing is, reminder, I have autism. So when small details like this becomes noticeable to me, it bothers the shit out of me. And the fact that my camera is lower than it usually is because my feet are in the ground bothers the shit out of me. I can't stop seeing it. It's terrible. Yeah, he's starting to do some damage now. Dude, Herc is comically large.
On my way.
An enemy has been slain. You rock. Bye.
Truly amazing.
And breastplate first. Makes sense, I guess, once the cooldown.
Bring it on.
I'll just TP back again, I suppose. Why is Shamir coming to me?
Help right lane.
Yeah, this... this is cooked.
An ally has been slain.
Interesting.
Your right tower is under attack. Your Your right tower has been destroyed.
Just smite two things, you know.
Killing spree.
My blades hunger. I sense your fear.
Press the wrong ability. It's the most awkward proxy I've ever done.
Gank.
We let him live a little too long. No, Bacchus, you shit.
I sense your fear. Your agony fuels.
Damn it. Man, Bacchus jumped at the worst possible time. He just instantly blocked my ult. I was just going in for Susano and then getting out. Because if Susano dies, I don't think I'm dying. Oh well. That's tragic. Avoid shields.
Fury. Ultimate is ready. I'm on it. Gank middle lane. Middle lane.
Your left tower
Enemy
is under
missing
attack.
left.
An enemy has been slain.
Or could rotate.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
It's just kind of hovering in case he did. I can't really help him out.
An enemy has been slain.
Damn. Good job, team.
An ally has been slain. Tower is under attack.
Enemy ultimate down. You are no match.
An ally has been slain.
Group up. On my way.
Ah, that's unfortunate.
I'll gank.
Killing spree. Killing spree. Double kill.
Really wanted to hold my Sunder. Don't really want to use it there. So I'm glad you used these 3. I'm sure a lot of people don't actually realize, but on Modred's 3, the more you move, the more damage you take. So when Susano presses his 3, he's gonna take more damage, because he's using a movement ability. Though I guess Susano's is a bit of a weird one, just because it technically doesn't move, just TPs. Don't know why Loki is spamming for stuff there. He literally does negative damage to him. I don't think, like... He feels more tanky here, like in case of Herc. Herc is obviously really tanky to us right now, because he's full defense against us. Not to mention he's got Warrior's Axe. Loki was just bad. Like, I don't want to say that just randomly, right? Like, Loki just did a really, really dumb fucking move. Also, Loki has Pendulum Blade. No pen at all, at the moment. So he doesn't do any damage to Hercules. Even going on Hercules isn't worth it. Here. He's so tanky. We need, like, any pen first. The same thing goes for, you know, for me. They don't kill me either unless they have Susano here. Though I guess Susano probably just is better than Loki. In terms of players, not necessarily the god. Yeah, he built Wings as well. I do think Wings is pretty nice on Hercules. It kind of stops that he's got super low mobility and easy to lock down. But he definitely is very tanky. I forgot exactly what his passive does. I don't know if it makes him more tanky too. I forgot if it does. Where the fuck did Susano go?
Be right back.
Dude, Loki missed his ult! Ow! I've never seen that before! I've never seen a Loki miss ult before in Smite 2. He did the impossible. Kokoka does pretty decent damage to Hercules. Just gotta kill the Bacchus instead, man.
On my way.
Kill him! He's an actual Wraith boss. I take everything back. Hercules is broken. He's so tanky. I got the slow on him. Nice. We're doing things. Let's get a full spirit rope. I might do Wings as well. They have a pretty decent amount of shit that I want to get away from. Having an extra little movement ability would be kind of nice. At the same time, though, I also like damage. Could build some damage. They nerfed Spirit, or Soul Reaver, though, which is generally my, well, shout out to SOT, but since SOT kind of ran it, it kind of became the main thing that I like building in terms of damage and Mojo. It felt so good. I do not know if it's still worth building now. I haven't really tried. Either way, full tank Modred generally tends to be the way to go anyway. Don't really need to build any damage. Dude, go away. VGS system isn't always super clean.
Left enemy tower.
Gank.
On my way. An enemy has been slain. Enemy tower.
Yeah.
Completed.
Yes.
Attack the gold fury.
It's probably the better call here. We don't have minions. Dude, Hercules Boulder one-shot all the minions? That's kind of crazy when he's building full tank at this point in the game.
Destroy the gold fury.
Attack the fire giants.
Yeah, you can't stop me anymore. Or your allies with the Ymir wall. Don't know why he would want to stop me though.
You are no match. Your middle tower is under attack.
Group up.
Kokolkan ult is showing up pretty big.
Want more money? Get by. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
How tanky can you be, dude?
Group up.
Yes. An enemy rips you apart.
I'm getting you, Neve. I'm getting you. Dude, holy shit, you're so fat. Nika, go away. Nika. I can't believe how big Hercules is, man. It is crazy. This dude is the largest thing I've ever seen. Oh. Oh, okay. Damn it, I still reached. I was trying to get my teammates out. I was hoping I could also get out, but I'll take a sacrifice if they can get out. That was just silly though. I'm not sure how we didn't even get the Phoenix. What was Dancer hitting that whole time? Oh. Oh, he is a full intelligence Dancer. Never mind. I see the problem. You're playing anything other than Mordred when he's... no. Yes. Actually, you know what? My second most played god, I'm sure almost nobody can actually guess it. I'm pretty sure almost no one can guess my current second most played god in terms of worshippers in Smite 2. Ymir, it's a good guess, but it's surprisingly no. I don't even think Ymir's top 5. You would think so, because he was so good in the beginning. I kind of played him a lot. Look how big he is. Yeah, I do feel a bit sorry. Like, I'm sorry, Nika. I'm focusing the shit out of you for the simple reason that you are the main problem. If you're dead, we win. That's how simple it is right now. But I do feel bad. I'm just really trying to lock him down. Because I see my team doing really well. I can see that Neath obviously isn't great. I apologize if Neath might be ever listening to what I'm saying. But that is just the unfortunate truth right now. And Michael Culkin is obviously doing very well too, so I can just play this setup god right now and make sure that he's safe, and I can just set up for him. Mordred is unironically pretty decent at setting up, as long as you have your ult rank 1 available. I did just miss it though, which is an achievement in itself. But no, my second most played god in Smite 2 right now is Kukulkan. I like Kukulkan. That being said, I didn't actually know he was my second most played god. But he is. He's rank 6. While Mordred is obviously my highest one at rank 10. And above. Yeah, Kukulkan went on big. Do I remember ICD? I'm so bad with the names. I don't remember if ICD is someone who is someone that I have been in games with before. I do know he was the Hekatsu from my last game though. I actually don't know who in terms of solos are my most played. I think Fenris rank 5. Yeah, somehow. Bacchus is only rank 4, very surprisingly, but that's just because the majority of my Bacchus games are custom games in scrims, so I don't actually get any worshippers out of that. Hercules is already rank 3. Odin is rank... Oh, Odin is rank 6. Yeah, I guess it's Odin then. Odin and Kukulkan are my next most played gods. I haven't really had another god though, outside of Mordred, that I've enjoyed to the extent of wanting to get it to Radiant as fast as possible. Hercules could be it. I probably want to get Hercules to Radiant, I think. I think it depends. I just hope I don't run tired of him, but I also don't like his Radiant skin very much, to be honest. I don't know what it is about it. Looks like old Herc. Yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, actually, it does. He just got gray beard and gray hair. It's like Zeus. Now he looks like his dad, you know. Um, I just think that this one is better, to be fair. So I don't really mind getting rank 10. Like on Mordred, it was also just because his Radiant skin was so damn cool that I just wanted it. So I just spammed the shit out of him in casuals and such to try and get him up. Like Vamana, I'll probably get no matter what once he comes out. I think Apollo, I'll get no matter what once it comes out, just because I enjoy those gods so much. I think Yumi's just 5. Yeah, he's rank 5. So I do have his... what are these called again? Legendary skins? Onyx skins, that's what it's called. I do have the Onyx ones on most of the souls that I play, I think. I even have it on Chuck. So I'll get there, like, inevitably. I'll definitely get to rank 10 on the stuff that I play, eventually. Even Amma is rank 5. But getting to rank 5, to be fair though, getting to rank 5 takes almost nothing. Getting to rank 10, dude, you need 750 more than I have right now on Amma, even though I'm rank 5. It's just, getting to rank 5 is very easy in Smite 2. The rest is not. You still need 1,000 to get to rank 10. Which makes the later levels feel very not fun to grind. I wonder, do these matches still give like barely anything? Yeah, they do. So the elite queue still exists. I haven't really dived into the elite queue for a while because I just haven't. I don't know. I don't want to sit and wait for 30 minutes or more. I can't be asked to do that. So for the most part, I've only been playing casuals. I barely even played just ranked. Because I feel like the games you get in this rank queue and casuals are pretty much the same. There's not a big difference. You better pick Baron, man. Yeah, good. Because I don't want to deal with that. And I can only assume, I guess I'll check, but I can only assume I'm against Nika again. I definitely do not want to deal with a Nika Baron, I can tell you that much. Alright. I guess I will play Bacchus. It's either that or Odin right now, and I don't really feel like playing Odin, to be honest. I'm just kind of burned out on Odin. I had to play him so much in the beginning, and in the first place, he's not really a god that I enjoy very much. At least compared to Bacchus. Bacchus is fun for me, I think, because he's someone I wanted to play for solo for so long in Smite 1, but he just wasn't ever really viable. He's kind of been that Ares pick where, sure, I mean, he's great if you can get a bit further into the game, but coming out of solo with barely any, like, jungle clear and all that stuff, it just doesn't work. You tend to just give up too much in lane. That's not the case in Smite 2. It kind of still is for Ares, but for Bacchus he has great clear now. Like super good clear. He's got nice buff clear because of the extra damage on his 1 now. So overall he's just really good.
Me.
We have a weird comp.
Groovy.
I will say I'm still slightly tired of Bacchus though, but that's just because he's someone I've had to play a decent bit in more serious games. Interesting. Did we get into? I actually forgot to check. Did Nick get into a different game then, or did he stop? No, he's just in a different game. Huh. Interesting. Unless he went for the elite queue, that's also a possibility. Might have just been the elite queue. Got the Baron's Brew now. Also, just for if people are curious about my I guess thoughts on streaming in general, I probably won't be streaming as much as I used to do. Like right now, I'm just I wouldn't say I'm burned out on streaming, but I don't really feel like doing it that much. Streaming is something I obviously only do if I feel like it's fun, and it was fun for a long time, but the 3 weeks where I didn't stream, I started to realize as well that I like having the extra hours to do something else than stream, I guess. It's a bit weird. Like it's definitely something something mental. I'll stream when I feel like it, just to make it easier on myself, rather than thinking I need to stream every day. So it might not be very often, and I do apologize for the people that do sub. I very much appreciate it, but I did mention it, and that's also why I never encourage people to sub, because you never know when I suddenly decide I don't feel like streaming anymore. Do junglers need to... Okay, good. Thank God. I was about to say, junglers need to stop bleaching blue. It's not good, man. It's a bad start for both of us. But mostly me. Because it simply means I won't be hitting level 2 in the first wave, which kind of sucks in solo if you're against someone good. I have not dealt with a Hades for a long time. It's a dancer. I'll level my 1 in this one. He's just gonna interrupt my 3, it's not worth it. And if I have to level something first in this matchup, I kind of feel like just leveling the 1 here. Gives me more healing as well. I'll take it.
Come on and hit me!
Your middle tower is under attack.
I'll still just do breastplate. Or not breastplate, mystical. I just think mystical is the best start no matter what. Even more so on like Odin and Bacchus, where their wave clear isn't super good, but I mean it's still good. It's not a one-shot type wave clear. And I mean, it still gives good damage, and on top of that is 350 health. It's never really bad. But I also might have to do Hussar's Wings, assuming that still works on Hades' ultimate. I mean, if I'm level my 1 as well, I might need it. What is he level or building? What the fuck is he building? He's definitely tankier than I would have expected.
Ultimate is ready! Enemy missing left!
They also did heavily nerf the damage on it. Might actually not be worth it anymore. I don't think I've leveled it first since they nerfed it. Again.
An ally has been slain. I'm getting some of this smite. Your middle tower is
See if it kills. Go, Neathold. Get him. Damn it. That sucks. I'm just not really scared of a Danza jungle. I can play pretty freely into it. It's gonna do no damage for a while. If he even does any damage into my 2. I do not know. I have not seen a good Danza yet. To be honest.
An ally has been slain.
Sorry.
I'll spec.
Shut down.
Now this is a bit weird. What do I do here? I don't really think I want to do the Hussar's Wings. I don't like the item very much in terms of its base stats. I don't think I need it against Hades anyway. It would be overkill. I'll just do this instead.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I went Void Stone first. Huh. It's an interesting start. Not necessarily bad though.
I'm getting into some of this smite.
Dude, go Danza! You have nothing here, man. I did jump here, which is kind of stupid. But like, I don't think they have any kill potential on me, not really. Unless I jump stupid, which I kind of did, but Danza still had to run a long way to get to me. It's here so much. They have to be a duo queue. They gotta be a duo queue. My Fenrir is the same Loki from my last game, so he's probably still alright. He does seem pretty far behind right now, though. He's 2 levels behind Danza.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
I did just miss my jump like an absolute idiot, and my ult is not yet.
Your right tower is under attack.
That's so unfortunate.
Killing spree.
It's time to turn this battle in our favor.
Get him! Nice. Clean. We're kind of lucky the Athena ulted in. I played that exchange overall kind of bad, I think. I was just kind of lucky that they screwed up. Zeus should never have been around still. I was just lucky. I went for the Athena over the wall. Not even to try and kill her, but just to see if I could peel her off. See if he walks up. The triple interrupt, that's so funny. He must be pissed, because I would be pissed. I'm pretty calm. I would be so pissed trying to dash 3 times and having the animation like almost go off. No. No dash for you.
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack. Your left
Let's see if I
tower
can
is
poke
under
this tower. Just the tad.
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
waves are gonna have seen me here. Oh. It's an unlucky jump. Did they get it? Yeah, I don't like the new pop-up thing they have, because like it just says the Gold Fury has been destroyed. Like, who the fuck got it, man? I can't hear what the announcer says in all the chaos. Who got it, man? I don't know. It's here again. Everyone is here. Run, boys. Run straight. Damn it. Stop. Actually, fuck it. I'll stick around until my TP is back up, probably.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Why are you here, dude? Help your own lanes. Or mid or some shit. There's zero reason for him to be here. I feel like Hades isn't really learning from his mistakes in this matchup. Like, he really wants to always interrupt me instead of just clearing the wave, because he could have pressure at this point in time. He should one-shot the wave where I don't.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I may or may not be bait.
Especially because I'm leveling my 3. I definitely do not one-shot the wave.
I may or may not be bait.
Fenrir's still level 12 though.
Come on, I got this.
That's not good for us.
Get it together.
Alright, let's do this. Let's get some fun items in here.
An ally has been slain.
Get it! No! Who's that? I'm kidding. Fuck it. I am stupid, and I should have simply just burped as a response. I should have had him. Dude, I feel like Fenrir is where I am, and he needs to just be mid and help mid. Zeus is just killing people, and I seem to be the only one who can actually kill him. So I guess I'm doing that. Okay. That works.
It's time to turn this battle now.
That's beats. Okay. I think they might be scared of me. Yeah, I don't like the sign of this overall, because it seems like we only win if I am here. At least we can win, but I'm solo, man. I'm the one who has the hardest time to be with you.
Your right tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack. Your team has destroyed a left enemy tower.
Be careful left.
I'm getting into some of this smite diesel.
The Pyromancer has arrived. Your left tower is under attack.
I'll slap this tower a few more times if red buff is down. Yeah.
Your left tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Things are about
And we really just are losing if I'm not around. Though I probably should have been rotating there instead of pushing, realistically.
May not.
An ally has been slain. Double kill. Killing spree. Immortal.
I may.
Time to turn
Damn
this
it.
battle.
I need to just keep running. I'm definitely dead here. He's sundered.
Be careful, lad. Please.
Let me see if I can actually tell them just to don't fight. Even though there's no fucking chat. Do not fight without me, team. We literally win 100% if I'm there, and apparently we lose if I'm not. Neath seems to be the only one doing anything on that side of the map. And that's just not enough.
All you think about is me!
It's gonna be tough if we end up hitting full late game, because I can only tank so much. Into their comp, they essentially have 3 ADCs. Which is gonna be tough for me, if they're all on me.
Listen, plants have feelings too. Help middle lane.
An ally has been slain.
Okay.
He also took my blue. God damn. I think I know why we're losing. Bellona is confused. Well, Baron might be confused as well. He shouldn't be dying as much as he is. But...
Slain an enemy.
Nice. Attack middle
The
lane.
enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury. Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower.
Auto dash, but that probably doesn't matter.
Destroyed a middle enemy tower.
Keep an eye out for fun.
My time.
An ally has been slain. Double kill.
I challenge you.
All these things spying is just a game.
Killing spree.
And the shell comes out. What is Baron building? He's building some weird things for sure. He doesn't have any pen though. He doesn't do any... a little bit of pen actually. Tiny bit of pen. It just feels like he does no damage. Bro, what the fuck is that? What is she doing? Why is her image so stretched as well? What the fuck is wrong with Bellona in this one? Oh, he went for this item. Yeah. It's a great sound.
The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant.
I'm not really sure what I want for my last build, because I do want more power in some way. because I feel like I need to kill them all.
All you think it
Just not great. I think I'll probably do a Void Stone. How much do I need to finish it though? 700? It's not too good.
Attack left lane.
Cancel. The enemy team has destroyed the pyramid.
Enemy attack left lane. Retreat middle lane.
Dude,
I'm getting into some fight.
I guess it's too much for me to expect that they will actually listen to what I'm saying. It's too fucking late now. We needed to push as 5, really.
Fire giant.
Yeah. I don't think it matters. I think Bologna is tilted or something. Like, Bologna does not play with us at all.
Attack left lane.
She hasn't played with us at all this whole game. Yeah, might actually have to report. Now that I think about it, I don't think Bologna fought with us at all. Hey, Benji. Yeah, I'll throw a quick report. Damn it! I don't think that went through. Accidentally pressed the wrong button. Why is that button in the same spot? That's not on me. No more fake elite Q, that's nice. Let me see if I can do one last. Actually, no. Wait, what time am I scrimming? Because I'm scrimming later. It's kind of rough on time if I end up in a long game. I'm gonna risk it. I'm risking it for the biscuit. And I'm just hoping for a faster game. I'll just pick something aggressive, I guess. I would like to get Baron just for one fucking game, though. That'd be nice. That's just kind of silly. I feel like we should have won that game. Dude, let me see it. Why is this still a thing, by the way? If the match existed, why can't I see the stats of it? Come on, Iris. What's that? Hey, there's a random Benji in my game. How am I not first pick though? Have they not fixed this shit yet? How am I not first pick? You telling me Darth Crisis is above me? Well, if I want a fast game, potentially carrying the whole thing as fast, or losing, I suppose, as fast as possible, what do I want to play?
Odin.
I mean, I'll probably pick Hercules if he's open, right? Maybe I'll just go full damage. Herc, if that's the case. Don't think it's been fixed? Yeah. What a surprise. Hercules, also a gigantic surprise. Who would have seen that coming?
Yemoja.
Maybe I do Bologna. It's kind of terrible into Herc, but if I just kill them all, right? You see what I'm saying? If they're all dead, it's not a problem. Ugh, Nuwa as well though. I'm having second thoughts about that Bologna. I mean, Anubis could do the trick, I guess. It's gonna be horrible in the early game against Herc, though. Yeah, I'll do that. Have you tried Herc yet? Yeah, I've tried Herc. I'm rank 3 on Herc. I've tried him. Mostly in casuals, but I only got him once in ranked. Because he's always picked or banned. And I'm never first pick. So I can't control it. Only in my first game today did I get Herc. But he's good. He is quite good. I still feel like I need to see more of him to determine whether he's like a first pick worthy type god, but thinking about Bacchus and Odin being kind of good against him in general, being top picks, is kind of bad for him, but he feels really good. He's definitely powerful. And he's super tanky. Like, he's already, with tank items being as good as they are in Smite 2, he's only going to be a menace, because he's one of the hardest gods to kill in Smite in general, with how his kit works and how his 3 works. And with his new passive, it's only kind of even harder to kill him now, so he's definitely good. He's probably the hardest god to kill in the game, outside of maybe Odin. Assuming Odin has like a full cooldown built and it shield non-stop, he's super hard to kill. And Hercules as a frontline with his 2-1 combo now is going to be very, very powerful with people not having beats the majority of the time. I think Hercules is probably going to be a top pick, I would imagine. Right. Do I go Sunder? Am I stupid? I'm feeling stupid. Yeah. Into Herc, I'll probably do Lifesteal first. But again, that's only, you know, playing a bit with. I mean, I got a pretty good demonstration, I guess. At least I went against Nika in my game earlier. I played Mordred, he played Hercules. Mordred won that early game, I would say, because Hercules' base damage is not as visceral as it is in Smite 1. Like, the 1-2 combo won't kill you, but it will do some damage to you. But if you do that to Mordred, he will just turn on you and probably kill you, because you just use your movement ability. So I did kill Nika in that one game for doing that to me and Mordred. But overall, I don't think it's like a... Like, it's not an instant win matchup. I think Hercules is... You know, it's like Smite 1, right? You don't want to go too close to the tower. You don't want to push him into tower, because that's a chance that you're going to get pulled into the tower as well. I think he's quite good. That's pretty much the
Cancel that. Be right back.
the first impressions, I suppose. The other thing I haven't tried is going full damage on him. I do not know how well he scales. I don't know if he's going to be a good jungler. He could be. I wouldn't be surprised. Just Herc has always kind of been a decent jungler. Just the nature of how his kit works. Dude, holy shit. Did I miss one creep because they were so slow? Should be fine though, but that's slightly awkward. I'm also still testing on whether I think Bluestone or
Your right tower is under attack.
Warriors is better on him. Nika went Warriors. I went Bluestone when I tried him myself. But in general, I think I need to try Warriors Axe a bit more. I've kind of just been neglecting it because it just generally was worse. Because Bluestone was that powerful, but Bluestone's been nerfed twice now. I think it's time that I take a look at the good old Warriors Axe.
An enemy has been slain. Bring it on.
I think that you're gonna hate Hercules because his pull is action. That's not hard to hit. It's easier to hit than his mine one. Just because the hitbox has kind of been fixed.
Bring the pain.
Yeah, I'm boxing. No, never mind. I don't do any damage. His passive is so funny though. He's so big. When he's empowered, he's just so comically large. And I can't believe Anubis 3 still frame drops when he uses
Your
it.
right tower
Fix
is
it, man.
under attack.
That's my only issue with Anubis. It's the only god that still drops my frames. Missed.
An enemy has been slain. Double kill. You have slain an enemy.
I do like Sandra and Anubis for early game.
Killing spree.
Loki going big. The only time you don't really fully one-shot someone is kind of the early Anubis, but with Sunder you actually might be able to. Just because of Sunder doing a pretty good amount of damage now. That's not really a fight I actually should take. Go away. He still hurts like a motherfucker with his autos. Holy shit. Yeah, that goes pretty far. Like, that right there is what I mean. I feel like I should not have gotten hit by it. Oh no, this is tragic. Alright, sure just banked. Overstayed my welcome. I'll get one more. I should have just went for my buff instead.
Your left tower is under attack. An ally has been slain.
Go Loki, defend my buff.
Tower is under attack. An enemy has been slain.
Let's blink. I'll take it. He TP'd before, so he's gonna have to run this time. I feel like he should have been here by now, though. Where is he? Hercules. I'll just keep pushing here, I think. Yeah, Danza doesn't seem that insane. Like, he just feels alright. He still suffers from the same problem that he always has, and that is that he's very easy just to run down and kill. His new passive, I think, isn't better than his old one, personally. It's very easy to just deal with. It's only really better, I guess, on objective damage. Danza just feels alright, but I also haven't seen Danza in like a really good player's hands, so I also still do not fully know how good he is. But just based on how to deal with him, like what I've seen so far, and as a frontliner having to deal with him, it's been pretty easy so far. Modric just runs him down super easily. There's literally nothing you can do as Danza into it.
Next time, it will go better.
Retreat, right lane! The enemy team has destroyed the gold fuel. Ally double kill. Awesome. Killing spree. An ally has been slain.
Please?
I would like a red buff,
Your middle tower
but there is no
under
red buff.
attack.
That range is crazy. What is he building? He's so squishy. He would build Transcendence. I see.
On my way.
I understand.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Missing middle.
Thanks! Okay. Attack! Okay, okay.
An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under attack.
Yes!
Have you spotted me, sir?
Bring it. Killing spree.
So proud. So proud.
I feel like this is one of those games where I'm just gonna keep pushing.
Your middle tower is under attack. Double kill. An enemy has been slain. The Pyromancer has arrived.
Probably the best way for me to get fed. Just take all of their farm and keep pushing.
Your
Get
right
all the
tower
waves.
is under attack.
Oh, dude. I'm sad. I missed the initial burst on my ult. I'm also very surprised how I am not being ganked at all by Mr. Fenrir. The one time I died was when he ganked, so
Your
he's
right
been
tower
successful so
has been
far.
destroyed.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna see if I can rotate here.
You're welcome.
Attack! No.
Gank!
Hush now.
Gonna keep chasing, boys. Hold this back.
I shall make it painful.
Attack! An ally has been slain.
Okay.
Double kill.
Defend right lane.
Enemy missing left.
Made me so proud.
That's such a funny wall. Actually blocked his dash.
I do what I must.
Slain an enemy.
Attack fire giant.
I live in a world without cooldowns. I want this tower.
Attack right lane.
And then I'm never coming back to this lane.
An ally has been slain.
Damn it! If it wasn't for the Baga's anti-healing, I might have been able to heal enough of them just there. I also did not see what she was mentioning. She was simply screaming help left lane, and I did not realize that two people were gonna come right in front of her. I'll take that blame upon myself, I guess, a little bit. I do kinda like pen. I'll grab some more pen. I also turn some light. It's dark as fuck in my room right now.
Is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
Let me make it. No. Damn, tower went down. I wanted the big TP. Or the long TP.
Follow me.
Your left tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
You cannot hope to escape.
Stay in Bacchus. It's everywhere I don't want him to be right now. Nuwa is still there.
Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy missing left.
An ally has been slain.
I'll attack left lane. Be careful.
I'm not gonna be there in time anyway. I'm just getting this tier 2. Not that we could have defended it anyway.
Destroy the left enemy. The enemy team has destroyed the Gold Fury.
What? How did you know? Absolute cheese stick. They must have a word right here. He's still just watching me. Yep. Alright, good to know.
Stay alert.
Chase the enemy.
An enemy has been slain.
Behind us.
Unstoppable. Your right tower is under attack.
Dude.
An ally has been slain.
That is very nice. That is very
We just got a group, man. I don't know why they pushed mid when they were behind us. We killed those guys, and we I don't know how Loki died though. I'm not gonna lie. I do not know what Loki died to. Must have been just been Numa. Something fucked me up, and I'm not sure what it was. Was it just the Numa combo? Just a bit of everything, I guess. Just mostly Fenrir. Yeah, buy some words, Benji. One of the issues right now is that no one is buying wards except for me. I don't think Umoja is, so I just need someone else to buy wards so we can actually track where they're going. Fenrir is also pretty fed, so Umoja just ulted.
Your middle tower has been destroyed. Your left tower is under attack.
Like, Fenrir is playing it well. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. Not a terrible defense.
Under attack.
Feel like Loki's gonna die when minions come back up here. No, it's fine. I don't really like that I had to go for so much damage in this game. Because normally when I run the Anubis solo, I want to be way more tanky. But it's hard to do when no one else is doing a whole lot of damage. Like Danza is 14, and he's Danza. He does he does have Deathbringer though. Dude, they were just waiting for me there. Nuwa is honestly the one that I'm the most scared of, because if I get hit by that combo, I feel like I'm just dead.
The enemy team has destroyed the pyro.
Blessings upon you.
Be silent.
I don't trust Yamoja anymore. She betrayed me.
Blessings upon you.
Now she's earned the right to be quiet. Loki's just dead here as well.
An ally has been slain. The enemy team has destroyed the gold.
Oh, that's cool. They made an icon for it on the map now. That's kind of cool. Kind of nice. It's still glitched though. It still shoots, but they made the icon at least. It's kind of cool.
Been destroyed. Your middle tower.
Why would you ult? Yeah, Yamoja is very confused.
Your right Phoenix is under attack.
That's tough. One of the issues with games like this is that it feels like, you know... No, I'm not gonna say anything. Hey Hansen, good to see you, man.
Is under attack. Your left Phoenix has been destroyed.
Yeah, Loki's giving up as well.
Been destroyed.
This is the thing. Like, the games like this is why I just started just playing casuals instead. It's literally the same stuff that happens. I can show you guys my history. The majority of my games these days are basically this. Win lane super hard, because, you know, the guy I'm also against is like a lot of my teammates. And then it just kind of results in all the damage a lot of the time, even though I'm full tank sometimes, being on me, and I can't carry it. So it's tough. They did have a good, like, I will say it, like, they did have good players in their team. So it's not that I'm faulting my allies, I'm just faulting the matchmaking, basically. The matchmaking still just isn't great. Yeah, I mean, the Yamoja definitely had some interesting calls, and then blaming others for it. That was classic. Alright, that's all I have time for, though. I need to make dinner, and then I have to scrim, so... I do appreciate you guys stopping by. It's been a while since I streamed. And I will say it again. I said it earlier during the stream as well, but I won't be having a specific schedule. Like, I won't be trying to stream every day anymore, just because I don't want to... I'm slightly burned out, I guess, on streaming. I'm not really burned out, but I am feeling something along those lines. I don't really have a better word for it. So I am just trying to not overstream or play too much Smite 2. Like, Smite, I'm definitely a little fatigued on Smite 2 as well, just because of the amount of gods in the game. I'm definitely tired of playing the same gods, and I'm not really in the mood to go back and play Smite 1 again. So I will just be playing when I want. I will still be playing Smite every day, but mostly I just do one casual, then I take a break, I'll go to something else, and I'll do one more game a bit later, and shit like that. And it's not really worth streaming that. I don't want to just stream a single casual game. That doesn't make any sense. So when I feel like doing a ranked session or something along those lines, I will stream. And I will obviously tweet it out, but I won't be streaming every day as of right now. So thank you for understanding, but yeah, that's just how it is right now. Because I don't want to like just stop streaming either. I do enjoy it, I really do. Just probably not every day. But yeah, thank you guys for